You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Make sure y'all tap in with Let's Yap About It podcast, man. Real dynamic.
Hello, man. You tuned in to Let's Yap About It. Even though I don't talk, but you got something to say. Stuck emotions out now.
Tune in to Let's Yap About It. This ain't no podcast. It's a problem cast. I know why the name Fat Pimp Texas very own. Hey, man, tell your baby mama I'm looking for her. Tell your wife I'm looking for her. That's what it is, man. Let's Yap About It, man. This ain't no podcast. This is a problem cast. Fat motherfucker Pimp. Let's go, man.
Cuz. Don't lie, cuz. I don't fuck with too much talking. I don't be on that yapping shit, cuz. But you feel me? We can yap about it. You hear me on the podcast, you hear me? Yap About It podcast. Goddamn, go tap in with my people, bro. You hear me? Cause it's Smush gonna come with the interview real soon, too, y'all. Make sure y'all tap in, you hear me? We been talking with Yap About It podcast. Nigga, let's yap about it, cuz. Heard you still talking, cuz. Let's yap about it. Fuck it.
Yeah. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Yap About It podcast. Starring Raw Bass. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Let's yap. Let go. We in the mix. Fit too savage. Let's yap about it. Stop by for a visit. Content was so living. Had to pray for all of my children. Now the whole world be listening. Talk to niggas from prison. Spoke how they was living. How the COs be tripping. Rappers losing on the back end because my motor dudes keep dipping. Seen the show when the dude started out of blood, then started crippin'. Stripper niggas stop tipping. Out of game niggas stop flipping. Bad attitude, so he had to move just to keep his ass out of prison. Seen a show about a young hoe. Fucked on a sister, man, no apology. Let's yap about it. If the bitch come around me, shit, she can holler at me. Check my Instagram, she was following me. Cause she knew I be where them dollars be. Rapid funds, but I keep it going. I fuck you up, no apologies. Yep. It's yap about it. Yep. It's yap about it. Yep. It's yap about it. Live. Let's yap. Bit too savage, savage like music. Yeah. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Yap About It podcast. Starring Raw Bass. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Let's yap. Let go. We in the mix, fit too savage. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Interviews be exquisite. Stop by for a visit. Content was so livid. Had to pray for all of my children. Now the whole world be listening. Talk to niggas from prison. Spoke how they was living. How the COs be tripping. Rappers losing on the back end because promoter dudes keep dipping. Seen the show when the dude started out of blood, then started crippin'. Stripper niggas stop tipping. Out of game niggas stop flipping. Bad attitude, so he had to move just to keep his ass out of prison. Seen a show about a young hoe fucked on a sister, man, no apology. Let's yap about it. The bitch come around me, she could holler at me. Check my Instagram, she was following me, cause she knew I be where them dollars be. Rapid funds, I keep it going, I fuck you up, no apologies. It's simple about it. It's simple about it. It's simple about it. Live with raw bass. Let's simple about it. It too savage like music.
What's up? We back at it again one more time. Talk to him. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the intro so nice. I had to play it twice. Shout out to Smush 1800. You know, he definitely tapping in. He doing a lot of big things. If you ever get a chance, man, go check out his page. Wonderful human being. We wrapped it up a taste. We getting some things together. We actually getting ready to do a one-on-one interview. So definitely got to send him some love. Shout out to Smush 1800. I also want to send a special shout out to Doe Beezy's sister. We getting ready to crank this interview one-on-one. You're going to get to hear about all the things that were going on with Doe B. And when I say Doe B, I'm talking about one of the best representatives of Alabama. He was getting ready to do his thing with Grand Hustle until, his passing. And we're going to definitely elaborate on a lot of the things that he done for the city. He was a person of the community. He gave back. He showed a lot of love, much love and respect to Doe B. You know what I mean? So for real. Shout out to Ears to Christ. Shout out to Shorty Rock, man. We got some stuff coming, man. So y'all stay tuned. Tonight, we definitely want to get into some things tonight. We got a couple of things that we want to talk about, and you can engage by all means if you ever want to get on. You definitely can get into the chat. Get into the chat. The login is there as far as if you want to be a guest. By all means, the platform is yours to talk tonight. But we definitely going to touch on some things tonight. And one of the things we want to touch on tonight is this. We talking Marvin Sapp. Marvin Sapp closed the doors on the people for offering. Was this an act of greed, or was this justified under the scripture, which is the word of God? I'm asking. Y'all tap in. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. I'm going to give my take on that. And I also want to talk about this too. This is controversial. Call out pulpit pimps when they out of pocket. If you're a true believer in Christ, then you have every right to speak up and speak out to say something. Use discernment and scruples God has given you to say something when it is not right. We're going to talk about that. We also going to get into this tonight. Young Scooter, he died at the hands of somebody that lied. And I think that was just a total blatant disrespect when it comes to him and his legacy as far as what he's done for, the rap hip hop culture. And, it was just definitely a disservice. Young Scooter dies at the hands of a lie. The words of a 911 call were made by a 31-year-old woman by the name of Demetrius Spence, who said a woman was being hurt at the residence with a child of Kenneth Bailey, aka Young Scooter. They laid him to rest today. And I just want to say, rest in peace to Young Scooter. You know what I'm saying? Definitely the innovator and creator of Count Music. And I want to talk about this too. We're going to get into this too. Are women aiding and abetting other women in lies? We now live in a society where women use the judicial system to destroy men's lives by mere words. We definitely want to hear from you guys out there about that. And then the controversial NBA superstar pays a record amount or is allegedly agreeing to pay a amount in child support. Anthony Edwards has allegedly in the works of making a one-time buyout and has already waived rights as a parent to the child he initially did not want. So we're going to get into that too. And key thing here, will the buyout become a trend of unwanted children? There are so many people in agreement and disagreement about a one-time settlement. What do you guys think? Y'all get in the chat. Y'all want to talk about it? Let's yap about it tonight. We definitely gonna yap about it. And then I'm also gonna want to do I'm gonna do my own personal take on Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard's situation. As men and women, please understand that sex is a weapon that can make or break either party. And I want to get into that and the specifics of that. We talking also Ja Morant under fire for his gun gesture in the NBA game. Is the NBA picking, or is this a proper procedure when it comes to NBA players? We're going to definitely get into that. And if you ever get a chance, listen to me. Get all your friends, like, subscribe, and share to tonight's broadcast. We are over 1,400 subscribers and on the road to 3,000 subscribers. So if you get a chance, man, please share tonight's broadcast because this is going to be something interesting. And I'm going to tap in on some things that we talked about on TikTok and also on Instagram Live today. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Marvin Sapp closed the doors on the people for offering. Was this an act of greed, or was this justified under the scripture, which is the word of God, right? My take, and this is my take. Any man that is of the cloth, quote unquote, if you go according to scripture, there has been no man that is put in the worship of God to where he forced himself on anybody. You have the free will and the power to choose whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to do as far as giving. Giving is supposed to come from the heart. It's supposed to be by choice, not by force. And if you are a follower of God's word, then you know and understand that the fact of giving unto the church is not for the pastor, but it's really for the people. I want you to understand the significance and the power of the pulpit. Now, I'm going to take you guys down memory lane, and y'all are going to see exactly what I was talking about in describing what Marvin Sapp did as far as the congregation. Now, y'all get in the comment chat, and y'all tell me, do you agree or do you disagree? But I'm about to play this clip, and y'all let me know what you think. Check this out.
And they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I just think $20 is a lot of.
I want y'all to understand something about this situation in its entirety. And I want to cover this. And I'm so glad that you said this. And I'm so glad that you said this. This is one of the comments that's on the forefront, right? She says, grudge giving is a sin. I'm so glad you said that. At the end of the day, your tithes and offering is a big contributor to the church. Make no mistake about it. Just as much as a person that can afford to give 1,000, the meaning behind a person's $5, $3, $1 is a significant impact to the church in itself. Don't never think that there are big eyes and little U's when it comes to your giving, because we have seen time and time again, according to scripture, that the person that gave from the heart, which was the last, and we seen a woman feed the last of what she had for her child to a soldier. We seen this in scripture. There's no way you can tell me that Marvin Sapsucker, exactly what I call him, is a person that is using and manipulating the crowd and the congregation for his own personal gain. Let me tell you something. You cannot beat God's giving. God is a tremendous God. He gives, he blesses all. But make no mistake, doors are not to be locked in the church. That is one of the main reasons that he turned over the temples in the first place. If you are a follower and understanding the sacredness behind giving, it is for it to be multiplied through God. Now, here's the question. Now, here's the question that I gotta ask Marvin Sapsucker, and this is a real question. Now, for him to say that he was trying to get what he was trying to get out of his congregation, was that $40,000 agreement understood before those folks walked in the church? Did he specifically say to his congregation, to his deacons, and to everybody in that church that that was the goal that he was trying to obtain? I don't think so. Did he put it on the Instagram? I don't think so. Did he put it in the flyer? I don't think so. I think what he did in that instant, in that moment of what they were lacking, he was going to make sure that before anybody left out of there, they were going to hit that number. That is what's the problem with the church now, because everybody's focused on Malachi. But what we understand is the spirit. When the spirit is convicted and the spirit is changed, then guess what? Everything else falls into place. So you focusing on the dollar signs and not the spiritual mind of your people, you're already failing the congregation, point blank, period. Absolutely, God can take care of his own. And let me tell you something, and you might not agree with what I'm about to say. If there was anybody, including my mother, that was in a church where they forcefully closed the doors, somebody was getting their ass snatched up out the pulpit. You see, I'm too old a cat to be scratched by a kitten. I know the word. It says in Timothy to study to show thyself approved. And God is no way responsible or capable of holding his own congregation hostage. We watched and witnessed him bless a multitude of people with just a little. So you can't tell me that that number that he was actually sitting up there trying to justify by closing the doors and keeping the people there until he obtained his number was justifiable in God's eyes. And here's how you know it was fake. Because he went on the radio and said he apologized in the manner of how he said and how he done things. But if it was convicted in your spirit, why didn't you give the money back? How come? How come you didn't do a reset and say, you know what? That's not right. I wasn't spiritually led to do that. Let me reissue the money back, and whatever that you want to give from the heart, let that be okay. Nah, it was too late. It ain't no giving the money back. Make no mistake about it. It wasn't no giving the money back. You know why? Because the quota had been hit, and it's always better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. It was not need, it was greed. Understand. And I want you to hear him say this. And I'm about to go back to it. I'm about to play it again so you can understand what he's saying and the moment of what he's saying. Now watch this.
and they understand the cost that is involved.
They understand what the cost is involved. Anything that, if you know anything about church, everybody comes collectively together. So there is no variable way of cost, because we know that the church is under a 413C tax free. So we're not going to even play that game. We know that the church is under a tax free law. But let us continue though.
There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant.
Now, I'm going to say this. With him saying that, he says, we ain't going nowhere but to the restaurant. Who is he to tell you exactly what you're going to do? He ain't a prophet. When is the last time you seen a prophet? He's sitting here telling you, look, I know what you about to do, but at the end of the day, in your pocket, I'm going to get some of your money. She says, you can't pay for salvation. No, absolutely not. You cannot buy your way into heaven. And guess what? When you're looking at his watch, you're looking at his attire and his wardrobe. I want you to understand something. Some of the most devoted people to church are some of the most poorest. It's a financial and statistical fact. Most of the people that attend church, they are at least either impoverished or right at the poverty line. So when they're giving, they are giving from the heart because they really do want to see the church grow in a manner to where everybody can be saved. Because isn't that the whole foundation of bringing spirit, of bringing people together, bringing the spirit within God that's supposed to dwell within the people, to bring them, to convict them, to change their lives, to make their lives for the better? Understand something. Him saying that is justifying him getting ready to ask for what he's asking for. Now, check this out.
There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed.
You making the call on what people should give when it should be convicted in their spirit to give on their own. This is what you call pulpit pimping at its finest. This is what you call pulpit pimping at its finest. And if you do not understand that these people have access, remember when I told you this a long time ago, a lot of the people that are in positions of power, understand they have access to some of the most advanced manipulation, books, videos, technology, and software that they could actually practice, that they could actually get these things together. That actually AI is even being included in some of these congregational sermons. Understand the importance of where that money is. But my question is, I want to show you something. The most places where African Americans give, we never know where that money is going. The two places that we go to, that we give our money to the banks and to the church. Notice we can't get loans out of a bank. We can't get loans from a church, right? I want you to understand this. In Muslim religion, what did I tell you last week? They actually buy the houses. The churches buy the houses so that whoever that's going to buy the house buys it directly from the church at tax-free interest. I'm going to say that again. In a lot of other religions, they buy the real estate so that the person that's in the church can buy the real estate tax-free. Why is it that when we see that these folks are continuously asking and asking and asking, and now at the point of locking you in for you to give, where can you receive that information in detail on where that money's going? When you see that other religions and cultures, their religion benefits them, why in the Black church there isn't a way that that could be done? Why isn't it any way that in the Black church that we actually can see in detail in an itemized bill to see where the money is going? But we can give it, but we can't see where it's going. And we wonder why we still make up half of a nation's percent of wealth, half of a percent. In the places that we give our money the most, we don't see the results from. That's why I'm telling you to study to show thyself approved, because there's no way in heaven and on earth that God would allow his people to be locked inside a place to where they were forced to give, when we know that God always loved the cheerful giver, but he also gave you the free will to give in the first place. You got to watch these type of suckers. You got to watch them. You got to watch these type of suckers, man. These people do anything and to say anything to get in your wallet, to get in your purse, to do whatever it takes for them to maintain and to continue the lifestyle that they live on your dime, not theirs. Understand that. Study to show thyself approved. And I really got to touch home, and I got to touch bases with this. Call out pulpit pimps when they are out of pocket. If you're a true believer, you are supposed to say something. And you can't tell me that there was any alpha male in that church to say, hey, this is not right. This ain't the way that it's supposed to go. This isn't the way the church is supposed to grow. That ain't the way it's supposed to go down. And for me to sit up there and see that nobody said anything goes to show you that, guess what? They were willing to compromise their spirit, because they they compromised the spirit of what they know in truth for a pastor. So at the end of the day, your discernment, your scruples are supposed to kick in immediately to understand that what he was doing was a bunch of crap. That was crap. And if you're a believer, you're supposed to be like, hold up, this ain't, we're not finna do that. We finna get up out of here. And you ain't finna hold me hostage either. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if you know within your heart of hearts that's right, it is your responsibility and it is your duty to say something. There's no way that if you in your Bible and you in your word that you allow something like that to happen. And and if I was the women in that church and they were being held in that situation, man, please, I would divorce the husband the next day, because ain't no way you gonna sit up here and allow and justify some situation like that. Call these people out, man. When you sitting up in these churches and they telling you they need $500 more, we shutting it down. We're not doing that no more. No, it's not supposed to get done like that. If you know in your heart, if you worried about anything about, hey, well, I don't want to, ruffle any feathers, or say anything that's going to, make anybody mad at me, man, it's your duty and your responsibility to say something. It's your duty and your responsibility to say something. That's the problem with our culture now. When we need to step up and say something, we don't say something. But on something that's obvious that needs to be said, we just sit there. We fall back. We don't say nothing, because we're willing to compromise for a pastor over what God says. And you understand that there are people that the devil says amen in church too. So make no mistake about it, man. When you sit up there and you see something not right, even in the church of God, man, and you know it's in your heart, use them discernment and use them scruples to tell everybody, hey, man, this ain't supposed to go down that way. Man, we supposed to be going the way that we supposed to, and that's the right way. Absolutely. She said that they were cowardly soldiers. And this is the same people. Let me tell you something. These are the same people that if something was to happen in our society and Black culture, they would sit back and they would say nothing. Remember that. Remember that. If they could sit up here and allow that to go on in church, Imagine what they'll allow to go on in society, man. Man, stay away from them type of people, man, and understand who are pulpit pimps and who are pastors. Stay the hell away from them type of people because they're going to drain your pocketbook while they get rich and you sit back, be poor, and that's okay for them as long as you keep coming. Remember that. Now, I want to talk about this situation, man, and it hit home. Young Scooter dies at the hands of alot. Young Scooter died by the words of a 911 call made by a woman by the name of Demetrius Spence, who said a woman was being hurt at the residence. Now, what I want to do for y'all, I want to play the 911 call, and I want you to understand the significance of understanding how our culture uses and enforces white supremacy. I'm saying it because it has to be said. How we enforce white supremacy up on our own people. I want you to check this phone call, and I want you to hear exactly how this went down. And it's a thing that's called swatting. Y'all check this out. Y'all don't believe me? Man, this was crazy. Check it out.
There was literally a shooting. The house, literally the neighbors next door, the house of the address that I just gave you, the 273. There is literally a whole domestic dispute going on. There's like 7 guys that live in this house.
What's your name?
I'm sorry. What is my name?
Okay. Tell me exactly what happened.
Okay, so I'm the neighborhood watch. And basically, like I said, these guys they're like selling drugs in and out of the house. All you see is guys coming in and out of the house with guns and stuff. They holding guns in the air, and then it's like, I'm not sure if they're pimping, but it's the situation that's going on right now. This girl doesn't have on any clothes. They threw her outside. He was fighting the girl. He literally fought the girl. I'm not sure what they was fighting over, if they was fighting over drugs. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like they were fighting over drugs. And then they started shooting. She had someone come over there, and they started shooting. But the house needs to be investigated. They're definitely doing illegal stuff over there, and it's disturbing the area.
How many shots were fired?
I would say 3. It was 3 shots.
When did it happen?
It's happening now.
Okay.
So I believe the girl is hurt.
And they're coming from 273 William Nye Drive?
Yes. And the girl is hurt because she was like bleeding profusely, like blood everywhere.
Okay. Do you see or hear anything else?
Yeah, she's trying to get away, and they're holding her. She's being held hostage. Like she's trying to. They brought her. The guy that was fighting her, she ran outside naked, and then he was fighting her outside. And then there was another commotion. She tried to get away. He dragged her back in the house. So now they're at the door, literally fighting. She's trying to get out, and he's refusing to let her out. And it's like 7 guys in the house. There's also a child in danger as well because she has a baby.
I think I've heard enough. As you heard on that phone call, her explaining the situation like it had really happened, and it didn't happen that way. I want to talk to the young sisters, and I want to talk to the young brothers. You have to be aware of the people around you. I had this conversation with my daughter earlier today, and let me tell you something. These kids know what's going on. Don't ever think for a second that these children don't know what's going on. And I asked my daughter today, I said, what do you think of that situation? And she said, I said, would you allow something like this to go on in your presence? And she said, no. She said, I would never, ever participate in nothing like that. She said, if somebody was going to jail or putting out lies about a person and it would incarcerate them, she said she would pull her friend to the side if she was a female. She said she would pull them to the side and say, nah, that's not right. That's not cool. That's not something that's supposed to go down like that. And it made me feel good because I felt like I had an ally within my culture. It made me feel a little bit more safer knowing that there's somebody out there, even though it's my child, to sit back and say something that's going to be on a personal level to understand what's right and what's wrong. Just like we talked about the Marvin Sapp, nobody sat back and said anything. My daughter said, no, I can't let that go down. And I said, would you still be friends with her afterwards? She said, absolutely not. She said, because if they'll lie on them or lie on their boyfriend or lie on their husband, they'll lie on me. And it felt good. It felt good knowing that I what I'm teaching and all the common sense things are coming together. Man, you don't understand. And I got to give her some love. Shout out to my daughter, man, for real. Because we as a culture need people to ally. Do you not know? And let's just take this away from the young Scooter situation. Do you know that there are women within the projects that I've heard call CPS purposely on each other because they dislike each other? What? Oh, yeah. I've literally heard stories where girls do not like each other and have called CPS purposely in a vindictive way. Your first level, if you want to talk about Karens and Keishas, I have an episode about that. They share similarities in vindictiveness and facetiousness. You got people out here like that. You got people hell-bent on creating chaos. Their life is messed up. Their life is in shambles and in drama. So they want to make sure that anything that they touch, they destroy. That is a part of our society. And for that man, young Scooter, aka Kenneth Bailey, to die on the strength of somebody actually creating, that's a dangerous person. That's a psychotic person. If a person can sit there and conjure up all that bullshit and create all that narrative out of thin air, you got to watch people like that. This woman created a story, and you could hear her saying that she created this from scratch. This was like she was baking a cake, and she was going along and adding to the story, saying that it was shots going off, there was a kid that was in danger, it was drugs being involved. That is a dangerous person, and we got people that dwell amongst normal people in our society like that today. You got to be mindful. You really got to be mindful of the company that you keep, because let me tell you something. I've heard some stories. Listen to me. I have talked to women, and they have told me that one lady who was mad at her husband and was facetious, she literally got her husband in trouble. She went outside. He was drunk. They had an argument and what have you, and had some drama going on. This woman did this to her husband. She beat up herself with an orange and beat herself up with some other stuff. He didn't even have a clue what was going on. Police arrived. He's saying that he was in a domestic dispute and this and that, and he was knocked out asleep. She actually got her husband 5 years. That right there is a dangerous person. And we all know some people that have done some things like that and done dirty things like that. But I'm going to tell you this, I don't have no association with it. I don't co-sign it, especially when it comes to our culture, knowing that men have been innocently convicted of things and crimes that they know that they done. And now we're going to take the same people that look just like me, the same people that live in the neighborhood just like me, the same people that I'm supposed to love and care for just like me, that wears the same skin tone and skin color just like me, for them to send me to jail. Nah, man, that's definitely a disservice, man, and a disrespect to the culture, because we got those that will aid and abet white supremacy. That's a pitiful thing, and I don't co-sign that. As much as I know that I've seen young brothers get taken down, innocently killed. Rest in peace, Chris Menifee. If you've ever been on the north side, there was a place called Menifee's, man. Chris Menifee, I'll never forget that. He was actually shot and killed by the police. Listen to me. Shot and killed by the police because his girlfriend that he broke up with, all he wanted to do was get his things, and they shot him with his child in the car.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Oh, yes. This was way before the George Floyd thing. So understand and make no mistake about it. Man, if we supposed to care for each other and respect one another in the culture, we supposed to look out for one another. We're not supposed to be using the same things that we supposed to be fighting against our own people. Shout out to everybody, man, that's actually out on the up and up and really cares about the culture, man. Oh man, that's just a crazy situation. And it brings me to talk about this. Are women aiding and abetting other women in lies? We now live in a society where women use the judicial system to destroy men's lives by words. And this is what I wanted to talk about when you see that thing when I talk about the Jezebel spirit. The Jezebel spirit ain't just something sexual. You have to understand the conniving and the facetiousness and the deceit that comes with being a person of that kind of foundation when it's a part of their DNA. You got to understand something. There are people that are in our culture that is mixed and playing it cool and trying to blend in that really do not want to see a progression within the people. And when I say a progression, your auntie, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, your great grandfather, your great grandmother. There are people that really do not want to see success because it is a reflection of their failure. Understand the Jezebel spirit dwells where it can feed and feast off people. Sometimes you don't have to be doing nothing and it could pop off just by just immediate verbiage. A lot of times words can be twisted and manipulated in such a way by a narcissist or a person that has psychopathic tendencies to create a division and a divide. We call that Machiavellianism, where we have people that actually try to cloak and dagger, that try to create dissension out of thin air, just so that they could have the light to where they act like they solved the problem or they were the answer to anybody's disarray or dysfunction. You got people that really function in our society like that. She thought that she was doing a service, but she was actually doing a disservice. She's out on bond now. There's no justification for her to be mixed among society because who's to say if she's done it once, she would do it again. I'm here to tell you that Jezebel spirit lives among us. It lives not just within the women, it lives within the men too. And it creates such a snowball effect of problems to where, guess what? After it all gets unraveled, normally the people that create the chaos and creates the disorder normally is gone and not the picture. Normally the person that creates that and creates that drama and creates those situations, a lot of times they're gone. And they'll shake your hand. Absolutely. Listen, now check this out. Yes, they will shake your hand with a gun in your side. Absolutely. You ain't said nothing but a word when you said that. And the reason that it's like that is because you'll be surprised, even rich people that you think that have all of what they have and they don't want for anything will be the same ones that'll do it to you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Make no mistake about it. There are people out here that you would never imagine that would have that Jezebel spirit. And then you can see in the situation as she's poured out lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. And it cost hip hop culture one of its most favorable artists. Why? Because of ego? Because he probably put you out and didn't want you there? Or you probably trying to see who's hanging out there and who's not there? When you shouldn't have probably even been over there in the first place? You see what happens amongst our culture? There are a lot of unwanted guests in the Black community that are Black. Make no mistake about it. There are a lot of Black people in our community that are unwanted within the Black community. And they're just dwelling, going from pillar to post, looking for who they can seek and devour, just like the devil himself. If the devil can't do the service himself, he'll send his demons. And look where we have a situation like this. And for her to stare in that camera and look all sad, you didn't look sad when you knew exactly the moment that you were telling the lies that you told that got young Scooter killed. Should she be convicted for it? Absolutely. I believe that there should not be not one table unturned for her creating this whole thing. And guess what? She was willing to let the police, even though they didn't even have any involvement in it, she was willing to let the narrative be spread behind her lies. See, there is no reason to lie, but you can give but you can give a person every reason to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? It takes nothing to lie, but in that situation, look what it cost us. Look what it cost Black culture. Well, look, he was loved and respected by a lot of people. He actually got into the rap game, had been in the streets, had done this thing, and actually had created his own success, only for that to be ripped and taken away by somebody who had no best interest from him at the jump. It's a very unfortunate situation, man, and it's a really sad thing, man, but rest in peace to young Scooter, you know what I'm saying? AKA the creator of Count Music, man. That's an unfortunate situation. But I want to talk about this too. NBA superstar pays record amount of child support. This is what's on the table. Anthony Edwards has allegedly in the works a making of one-time buyout and has already waived rights as a parent to the child he initially did not want. This situation is a very, very tricky situation, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to give both sides of the spectrum. This situation could have been avoided altogether, and it could have been avoided by simply either wrapping it up or having that understood that, hey, that this was a possibility that a person could change their mind. Now, I see everybody saying that, oh, you should be in the child's life, but this is something that he didn't initially want. Now, most people are going to be controversial when I say this, but it shouldn't even be a situation because he initially told her that this is not what he wanted. But I'm going to get to him in a minute. I'm going to get to him in just a second. We all know that Aisha Howard is Little Baby's baby moms. And we already know, and let's just be honest, guys that are in the top 1% of lifestyle, especially when we've never had money, a lot of times we want to obtain low-hanging fruit and sometimes the fruit that's on somebody else's plate. Let's be honest. This situation could have been avoided if he would have played it smart. But how many times do we brothers put ourselves in those situations? How many times do our women put themselves in those situations? But guess what? We already know that it was a money grab. And be honest, and let's be honest, at the end of the day, everybody keeps talking about the child being in the child's life. But he initially said that he didn't want to be a baby daddy to her, point blank, period. So she knew exactly what she was doing, and she got exactly what she wanted because she knows that after Little Baby, I got an NBA basketball player. And here's the thing of what that says about her as a person. She already had one kid. Now you having a second one, wanting to be a two-time baby mama. But at the end of the day, we know what she's doing. She's manipulating the system. She's working the system so that she can actually benefit from it. Like I told you, what's the difference in these situations where you see young Scooter die because of a lie of a woman, and then a woman lying, talking about she didn't want children just as much as she did, and only for her to turn the tables, and then he be put in a situation where he didn't want to be. But I also blame him too, and I want to talk about that too. And I'm going to say this. Will this become a trend? Will this become a trend? Because now we see a lot of these guys really don't want to have nothing. They really just want the women for their bodies. They really want to have a fun time. And here's the thing. A lot of these guys that are in these situations know that a lot of them don't have what we call discipline. And I want to talk about that. There are so many people in agreement and disagreement about a one-time settlement. Now, most of the times, now she said that this is not true, but I think that it may be true at the end of the day. Here it is right here. You know what I'm saying? Right here, plain and simple. Gold digger. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the oldest things. You know what I'm saying? But let's be honest, brothers that actually want to agree with him in the situation, a lot of brothers don't have a lot of gold to dig. I'm just being 1,000. A lot of us brothers don't have a gold to dig. We always talking about this, but why would you even want to start below the poverty line? Because if you're not where you are financially as a man, then why would you want to put yourself at a disadvantage and at a decline? If you already barely making it above the poverty line, what do you think a child is going to do? What do you think a child is going to do? A child is going to set you back. So you have to be very careful and you have to be strategic in the movements that you make, especially with the women that you deal with. But I want to deal with that situation and I want to talk about this. And this is my take on Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard's problem. They're both low-hanging fruit. Can we be honest? Can we say that? And I want to deal with Anthony first. Anthony Edwards, one thing that he must understand that he's supposed to have what we call dick discipline, penis principles, right? Most people say, well, what do you mean, Rob, when you say that? Well, we must know that a lot of times, if we didn't have the money we had, then we wouldn't be able to obtain the women that we have. That's just plain and simple. We're going to keep it honest. We're going to put that on the table. However, even though he has a 1%er lifestyle, he still has a ghetto mentality. What he didn't understand was, yeah, he wanted to have a good time with Aisha Howard, but he didn't understand that she was beautiful trash. Because let's just be keeping it 100 and let's keep it real. Let's keep it all the way real right now. Let's keep it 100. Let's cut through the bullshit and let's be 100% honest and real. Having a kid is more beneficial now in 2025 as far as a financial package for the woman than it is for the man. Here's another thing, and I want to address Anthony Edwards. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into. You knew that it was a possibility that it might not go in your favor and that you wanted. But you knew within your heart, you thought with your dick, and it got you in a world of trouble, and it got you on the forefront looking like a bad person, regardless of the fact. You went for the low-hanging fruit. You got exactly what you deserved. You got exactly, because here's the thing. You know within your hardest of hearts, even though you was having fun, you knew that there were many other options that you didn't want to exercise, because we already know that you have 3 children by 3 different women. 3 children by 3 different women. And here we go. Come on. So you know exactly how to move and what to move. If you don't want no more kids, just go ahead and snip it. You can literally snip it. You ain't got to worry about that no more. But you continuously put yourself at a disadvantage. And let me address Aisha. Aisha know that she's beautiful trash. For her to run to the internet and to try to proclaim something of him when he knew that that's initially what he didn't want, and he told you that from the jump, that's a disrespect, and you doing a disservice to him as a whole. We both know exactly what you did that for. We know that you want to quote unquote try to be this proud mom and use this as a painted picture to make like, oh, you're trying to do the best you can and you have this big bad black man that doesn't want to cooperate. Stop it. Stop the bullshit. We see through you like Scotch tape. We knew what your initial mission was, and you succeeded. Now, here's the thing. Is this going to be a third time occurrence? Because you already got a baby from a rapper. Now you got a baby by a basketball player. No marriage in sight. No marriage in sight. So we're not going to sit here and act like, oh, that this is the okay thing to do, because guess what? You were already once a baby mama. Now you're a 2-time baby mama. So is this the thing? Is this what you do? Is this your cultural trend to where you actually just want to go from pillar to post, from dude to dude, and collect babies and collect checks at the end of the day? Why ain't nobody asking these questions in the media? Why is everybody trying to pick a side instead of us actually sitting down and understanding what the truth is about Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard? Yes, they know exactly what they're doing. And they actually did a disservice because now they're going to hate each other and despise each other the rest of their lives. He's already gave up his parental rights because he didn't want to have the child in the first place. So should he be blamed? Should he be actually put on the forefront as the person that doesn't want his kid? Or should she actually take the brunt of the blame and responsibility? Because it's just as much on her as it is as him. That's my question. It's just as much as on Aisha Howard as it is on Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards, I suggest you have dick discipline and you have penis principles as quickly as possible. Because at the end of the day, you've got 4 in the world now from different women. And I challenge you to be a better person, to make sure that you understand that you are making hundreds of millions of goddamn dollars for you to not put that child at a disadvantage. I challenge you. And Aisha, I challenge you to sit here and understand the significance of what you're doing too. You ain't off the hook either because we know what your intentions are. We know that right now, the whole thing is to have a baby with a celebrity, break up with them, go to the internet, slander their name, go on TV and talk shows, write a book, and sell something. That seems like that's the MO for our culture. We've seen this done with Tia Mowry. We've seen this done with Jeezy's wife. We've seen this done countless times and times and times again. It's getting old. It's time for the culture to change and to do something different. The title of baby mama is not a promising thing. That's not an okay thing. The being a baby daddy is not an okay thing. That's not something that I ever wanted to be in my life. I wanted to be a husband. That's something that I don't co-sign. And let's be honest, this child is going to suffer the most because they don't have 2 loving parents. Because if that was the case, then we wouldn't be on the internet talking about dismissing Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard behind a child that they both initially didn't want, but she knew exactly she could change her mind at the last minute and say, yeah, I want to keep this baby and I'm going to still make you the bad guy. What does that say about our culture? Why do we have a culture to where we celebrate more of the babies being in effect than we do the legacy of a family being in effect? Why is that? Why come marriage ain't socially acceptable, but being a baby mama is? Can we get honest? Can we talk and have this conversation? I would love to hear from a woman. I would love to hear from a man to give their perspective on that. Because culturally, if we're going to improve and do something better, then we got to start looking at ourselves in a totally different light. And being a baby mama ain't no champion, ain't no championship. But having a family and having a loving family with both parents in the house is. Shout out to those that are taking care of their business across the board. I got to give the black family some love. Hold up. I got my boy up here. Let me bring him up here one time, man. Let me bring him up here one time. Shout out to my boy, man. What's up? What's up, Ian, man? What's going down, man? Talk to me. What's the word?
What's going on, Robert?
Man, nothing much, man. I was just talking the one-on-one situation with our boy Anthony Edwards. He wants to go ahead and pay that $1.8 million. He wants to pay that $1.8 million and get it over with. He don't want to have anything to do with the child, and everybody's in an uproar about it. You know what I'm saying? Great player, you know what I'm saying? But hey, he might be, just a little he might suck at being a parent. But who knows, man?
My dad, my parents split up, and when my dad was forced to pay the spousal support for myself and my younger sister until we've turned of age, my dad wasn't too happy. So I know it takes a toll. my mom had the right, to file for man, what they call that, like, mm, you know,
Custodial
to
rights.
help. Yeah, well, my sister and I, we did the half and half with our parents. My dad wasn't too happy about sending her more money. She's like, she has a good hair business.
Mhm.
My dad works for the state, and he wasn't too happy about them taking a chunk out of his paycheck.
Let me ask you this, and we're talking parental stuff right now. We talking that. Um, did you see a shift in the love?
I feel like the love wasn't really ever there. They had a 16-year gap in age,
Hmm.
and I feel like this was more of an arranged marriage. So how that came about was my dad was already in the States, and then he had friends introduce my mom, and my dad had went back to Vietnam and brought her over.
Hmm.
And so yeah, man, I mean, they had two children, and they were over 10 years in marriage. And so, they stuck it out. It didn't end too smoothly, of course, and rest her soul now. But we had influences that weren't too good, such as like outside people saying, "Hey, you guys should split up." No, like myself and my sister, we were growing up. We were in the middle school stage, and that's the time when we need both of them around the most. Uh, Anthony Edwards' situation, I believe he has a little girl. It's but we all need um, parentals to stick together. I know that if they have issues or whatsoever, which my parents did, you know, um, I feel like a lot of the outside influences really, really played a part, and that's. I just hope that my sister, if she grows up, she has a family that that they don't let you know anyone from the outside, whether that be a close friend, even family, because I had my own grandma. My mom's mom was persuading my mom to leave my dad. Like, that's that ain't the most messed up thing. Uh,
Let me.
Good thing my
I'm,
little sister didn't have to go through that
no,
because my mom's already gone, so we know
let me
she's a good one.
let me ask you something. And it's interesting that you said that about the mom telling your mom, her mom telling her to leave your dad. Now let me ask you something. Is she married?
Yeah, yeah, she is.
Now let me ask you this. Did they have a close relationship? The mom, both mom, you know what I'm saying? Great grandmother and mom, did they have a tightly knitted relationship?
Yeah, it seemed that way. There was always tension in the room, though. Um, yeah, I know things aren't, as what they seem on the surface level, but I lived under her roof, my grandma's roof, and it's all coming together now, man. I never messed with that side of the family. My mom's gone now, so I can say all this, but I've been saying this when she was alive too.
Sometimes I think, and this is crazy, and I'm not saying this about you in general, but sometimes I've noticed a lot of competitiveness with the women within the family for them to be married and others not to be. Not for everybody to be in one household happy and loving and hey, how you doing, sis, sister-in-law. Hey, everybody's just love and it's just, everybody's on one accord. What I've seen is a lot of times a woman or the mother of the house or the leaders may not even have a husband, or sometimes they do. And when that other person, the younger offspring, have somebody and they love them and they have a situation, and I'm not saying every situation is perfect. I'm not saying that. But you have those little road bumps and roadblocks, and y'all get over them and y'all come together. A lot of times, secretly, those parents that are the elders don't want them to be better than their situation that they have at hand. And I've seen that. That's crazy to me. Why would you not want the next generation to be better? And I've seen grandmothers hate on daughters, grandmothers hate on siblings because they were in a happy marriage or they were in a happy relationship. And they actually threw, I call it the sprinkle of salt effect. They were dropping little lines of salt just so that they could actually put in those, what we call those proxy wars, right? To where sometimes you'll speak negative on the daughter side. You should do this and you should do that, and then go to the husband and say, oh nah, you got to watch them. Nah, I wouldn't take that if I were you. And you start what you call as a proxy war, and you start creating this bitterness while you sit back. The whole end game is to destroy each other while you come in and reap the benefits of it all. And I've seen that happen, man. And that does such a disservice to the culture of family, because I ask, what is the family going to look like in the next 50 years? What is the foundation going to be? Is it going to still be traditional, or is it going to be something that's where Tom, Dick, Harry, Matthew, Mark, Luke is a part of the family? Nobody's married. There's just a bunch of kids running around. I mean, to me, it's just man, it just creates a chaotic environment, man, and the children suffer the most. That's just me.
Hey, Robert, you hit a nail in the coffin, and yeah, we had to endure. Although the real person in pain is the only parent remaining is my dad. Because my dad has to see us go through that now. You know, mm, we all expected, the dad, of course, he's 16 above my mom in years. So, okay, we expect you to go first. No, no one. Mom just passed. She had on stage 4 lung cancer 2 years ago, and that really opened my eyes. Like, um, man, that's crazy. No one on my mom's side of the family called to check up on me, man. After, during, before the whole situation, that's wild. I showed up to the funeral, but that's the last they ever to see of me. I'm way more closer to my dad. My sister's getting ready to get out of school next year. It's really uh, trending upward, to be honest with you. So we are reaping the benefits. Uh, I just had wished, I had realized a lot sooner that, things didn't seem right. You know what I mean? Like all these years, I did not know why my parents split. I would just think, oh, it's the typical like arguments, but where do they stem from? Like people say money the root. There's also other people involved, such as if you have fair. Um, all this time, I had no idea that like it came from the person in charge of it all. Like you said, man, like the grandmother should be wanting the new generation to uphold, their family legacy. My mom, she has many siblings, mostly girls, one boy, and I always had this thought in my mind, man. My grandma, she had her only one son, and then here comes her grandson coming along, possibly, on the up and up, and she doesn't like that. I know it's crazy to, I've repeated this story to a lot of people, and they kind of look at me crazy, Robert. But everything you just said really, really stuck with me, and it feels good to have someone on the side of understanding.
You know, the reason why I know this is because when I started going to school and understanding the psychology of children, you start seeing the lasting effects of that, right? And when I say that is you start seeing the behaviors and you start saying, where do they stem from? Where do these reactions come from? Because people just don't start arguing and just, everybody, there was a Greek slave that's Epictetus who said it's not the people, it's the views. And whatever these people are instilled with these views from outside sectors, like you said, that starts creating that ripple effect within family. Then you start having people choose sides and pick sides. And then you start having people say, if you're not with me, then you're against me. And normally 9 times out of 10 with family, if it's on the mother's side or whatever, the son is gonna choose the mom. If the daughter is on the daddy side, she's gonna choose the dad or whatever. They're always gonna be not a collective together family bliss, because everybody's got their own ideologies, and then everybody's in secret competition with each other. You know what I'm saying? They're saying, "Oh yeah, we're happy that you're married," but they'll say right in the same breath, "Oh, they ain't gonna last 5 years. Oh, they ain't gonna last 2 years." And I'm like, "Whoa, what kind of? That's a sick mind to me if you would say something like that, because we're all trying to push forward and be better." And that's insane if you're trying to hate on somebody trying to be a success at family, trying to be successful on the job, because you got to remember, home is supposed to be where your safe haven is. Home is supposed to be safe where you can confide in your grandparents, the hierarchy, because I call it the everything has a pecking order. If I don't know something, I go to my grandparents. If my parents don't know, I can go to my grandparents, or my parents will go to my grandparents. That's the way it's supposed to go. We don't have that in our society no more. We have grandma, mama, every now and then dad, he may be, divorced or whatever. Not even grandpa at this point, because I haven't even heard the word grandpa in the last damn near 10 years, bro. And I'm just being totally honest. And what I'm saying is the grandfather was supposed to be the head person. Okay, if nobody knows something, grandpa is the last, you know what I'm saying? He's the last on the thing that we could go to. We don't even have that now. And now we have a mixed ideology to where people are feeding off of their emotions on both sides, as opposed to using the wisdom. And we wonder why the family is messed up the way that it's messed up. And who suffers? The children. And guess what? The fathers suffer the most, because a lot of times, imagine being a father, knowing that you love the woman, you divorced the woman. I love my children. Now I'm having to financially still be responsible, still take care of myself, still have a place to stay, still have food in my stomach, still provide the food from over there. That's a lot. It takes a lot out of you as a man. And I empathize with your father, and I empathize with your mother. May she rest her soul, because a lot of times, if you shut out the outside noise, a lot of times you can hear your significant other in conversation to come to terms of agreement.
Jeez, man. Yeah, they could have stuck together. They would have never split. Who knows? You know, my grandma lived very close to us, so she spent a lot of time with my mom. Voices in the ear may have caused her to change her pattern of thinking, and that wasn't in the best interests of my father. Like, no one wants that. But to know that people really think that way, though, yeah, I'm gonna go persuade my daughter to break up with her husband, and they got 2 kids growing up. What kind of stuff is that?
And that's why when I have these conversations, most people don't know of what my background is. I have the books and have studied the psyche of how that's evolved over time. And that also comes from past traumas. A lot of times our parents deal with past traumas, and they sometimes latch off to their children, and they don't unconsciously know that they're even doing it. You know what I mean? They're saying it's a best interest, but they really don't have the best interest. They say, "Oh, I'm just trying to protect you and to make sure that you're okay." Well, why not say that? Why can't they both be okay? You get what I'm saying? You leaving one out. You know what I'm saying? If it's supposed to about to be togetherness, then why you keep saying, "Oh, it's about you. I care about you. I want to make sure you're okay, and you gotta deal with this, and they don't understand." No, you sit them both down. That was the whole essence of family, being able to have a mother and daddy on one side, a mother and daddy on the other side. And guess what? If y'all couldn't figure it out together, y'all would sit there 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. You might have to have a recess and a lunch. We got to come back after lunch. Somebody might get clunked in the head. That's okay. But guess what? Y'all were gonna figure it out until y'all gonna go home. Y'all not coming back home. Y'all got y'all own house. I want to sit in my house and sit here and eat Fruit Loops and chill and be able to do what I want to do. I don't want y'all in my house. I don't want my son in my house. I don't want my daughter in my house. I want y'all to go home, figure it out. Y'all love each other. Y'all respect one another. Y'all get it done. Y'all handle y'all business. Don't let your emotions supersede your intelligence. Because if you got a mind to think and you got a mind to be able to come together collectively, then you can solve those problems together. And shout out to the family that's been together 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 25, 30 years in the making.
Yeah, the high school sweetheart relationships.
Man, for real, for real, for real, man. Shout out to them. And I say that because we don't have a platform to actually talk about this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things be within men to where it kills them. They've been holding on to that stress. I'm pretty sure your dad has so much built up into him that he's pushed it down so far down to where he wouldn't even want to bring it up because it would be too emotional for him.
Hey, Mr. Higgins, you're so right about that. You know, I can see it in his face. I can just tell that he tries so hard to keep a positive outlook in front of us. Man, just looking at him though, man, I can just tell that when he's in a dark room, I just know that, you know, I just know, man. If I do it, if I break down, if I could, you know, um, hold, I try my best to hold back. I'm also not afraid to let them out. And my dad, I can never picture him or even hear him, even imagine him like breaking down and with tears. But you know, that's something he has got to done, if not twice, if not once, then twice. You know, I just know, and there's no way that he's that strong. You know, I could envision him as Superman. This happened very abruptly. You know, her passing, and you know, this isn't even like the passing part that he's sad about. This dates back to before all that, like when she was healthy, when they were together, and then the split, like that he talks about that, like not to this day, but when that was all going on, it really clouded up his thoughts a lot. You know, like we were going back to the spousal support. You know, that really took a toll on him. He wasn't too happy having a couple of hundred out of his stub. And then I would call mom about it, like, hey, you know, dad didn't really like that. He actually wants you to stop. So if you can go and request the court to maybe cease payment. I don't know how that all worked. I was young also at the time. And now looking back, um, you know, this is all behind us. This is the life that, uh, we're all living. This is the path we're on now. My dad, he's 69 this year. You know, he's been a senior citizen for some time now. He's retired. Uh, all we wish for now is for my sister. You know, she's the number one focal point now. So, you know, we're going to live our best lives for her. And so I love coming onto your show whenever you're live. And I have a chance. I just finished watching the nightcap. And Robert, you know, I'm glad I stumbled across your platform. It was randomly, you're on my feed, and we spoke Sauce Walker the first time we met.
Shout
And
out, man,
you
for
know,
real.
say that.
And, and I want you to do this, man. Go to your dad and tell him, man. Just tell him I love you, man. You did an excellent job. And tell him, look, I don't want to bring up the past or anything, but just know that you got my support. And let me tell you something, and understand this about your dad too. There's a lot of things that he didn't get to tell your mother because of what was going on in the whole array of it. And if he could ever talk to her, he would. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I have a grandmother. I had a grandmother and a great grandmother. My grandmother passed before my great grandmother, and they were at odds at one time, right? Because she moved to Houston and she was in Waco. And we all know a mother that has children, she wants to keep them close by, regardless of the fact. Even though she got married and was fine and taken care of, but that whatever the issue was, when my grandmother died, it messed my great grandmother up, and she became a hard woman. She already grew up in the depression, so you could only imagine, right? That right there really messed her up because she never got to apologize or never got to say, hey, look, whatever that situation is, squash that. Let's just continue on with life. I love you, you know, my child, and this and that. And it's the same thing in the effects of when we see something like this happen. Your dad has so many unanswered questions that he just wanted to probably get away from everybody and just talk to her directly, and even probably apologize. Hey man, I'm sorry if you thought I was, my intentions was this. No. Or her apologize. Hey man, look, it was crazy. I don't know what happened, but I just want to say I'm sorry. And it starts just with that. And I think that is a key ingredient of us understanding the value of time within our significant other's life. We don't know what could happen. And I think that's where your dad has that bogged down. But always just say, Dad, I love you. You know what I'm saying? You did an excellent job. You know what I'm saying? Keep him encouraged and keep him positive.
Yeah, man. And he keeps the spirits up high for my sister and I. Robert, he'll ask, you know, have you dreamt of mom? He'll ask if we come across her, in our deep state of hibernation, like, do you ever? And as soon as he mentions that, my brain gets to clicking. And what do you know? A few days later, I do see her. And it wasn't until like, she 2023, around this time. So coming up on 2 year anniversary, I haven't dreamt of her since it's just like not too long ago, recently. And so yeah, no, he's doing everything in his power. Robert, I can tell you are. And you have a great uh podcast going on too. I'll fully support it. You and Timbo. Uh, hey, can I get on this? Uh, Yeah, your last few streams, you were on Young Scooter, and that just happened. And
Yeah.
so prayer, to his family.
Yeah, and that was an unfortunate situation for him to be put in when he had nothing to do with anything, and for him to, lose his life on his birthday. That's a hard um thing to swallow, of how this happened. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, like you have to be mindful of the people that you have around you. And that person wasn't even around. They made a call from a distance, and look at the situation that happened, and it cost him his life. You have to keep your head on a swivel as a person in the world, because you don't know what dangers, seen and unseen, come before you. And you got to understand that people ain't playing with a full deck these days. For that woman, as I played that phone call, to hear her come up with this stuff as she was going along, saying that a woman was in danger, drugs, they was fighting outside, and none of this happened. Man, you got one heck of an imagination. Now, here's the thing. She shouldn't have even put him in that situation. She should have been writing novelties and writing books for her to be able to come up with that on the fly just like that. That's just me being honest. That's a heck of an imagination to put that on somebody and to justify it and to feel convicted as if it was true. That's disheartening, man. But shout out to Scooter.
Yeah, shout out to Scooter. And yeah, the masterminds of the world, you got to choose a side that you want to be like, you know,
Yeah.
there's two sides of it. Hmm.
So yeah, man, I wanted to talk about this situation too. John Morant is under fire for the gun gesture in the NBA game. Is the NBA picking on him, or is this proper procedure when it comes to NBA players?
Example, I've heard a lot of other players also doing the gesture. He's had a history of it. At this point, he's the image. He's now the the poster. He's the face of, waving, shots. You hot, you on a heater, ice in his veins, gonna point at your forearm, and you might throw out some threes. The arrows. Now it looks like you're brandishing a firearm. Now they're gonna get on job about that. They also want to let the viewers know, especially, of all ages, that, if we're gonna discipline you once and you come out and do it again, I think this makes Jaw look good and bad. Of course, he's fined. The good part of this comes out is that it shows that Jaw, he may or may not have gotten the message and has it soaked.
That's a give or take. But I think for him to be in that situation,
Robert, you still there?
yeah, I'm still here. I think for him to be in that
Robert, you
situation,
still there? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Can you still hear me, Robert?
I'll take off my headphones. Okay.
I want to say this. Um, okay, there you go. Hold on. There you go. I'm gonna say this. In the John Moran situation, I feel like it was unnecessary for them to create a probe for that.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? You got your volume up?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you.